Hi everybody, it's Erin Scott here. How are you doing? So we're looking at your weekly for May 3rd, and this is your art channeling. And this is going to be a little bit down and dirty, okay? So let's go ahead and pop in. Go ahead and select for your intuitive self-select. So you tuning in to the form that came through for option 1, option 2, and option 3. Okay, so I'm going to have you just feel into that for a second. What number is attracting you? What area on this image is attracting you? Okay, so if you need more time to select, go ahead and press pause on the video. Otherwise, let's go ahead and pull up what came through. Okay, now let me go ahead and make this just a little bit bigger here. There we go. Okay, beauties, let's start with number 1. So if you selected number 1, now I did this just in pen. I picked blue pen this week, but just pen. I didn't color it in. So I'll talk to you about any of the colorations that came through. I'm going to talk to you about it verbally. But I want to point out, if you selected number 1, the lines from this point back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, to this point here, which was the stopping point. This was the first imagery that came through for number 1. And so there's something from the background. I think that this is recently for you. This can be a pattern through years of maybe fluctuating back and forth. This can be mentally, this can be emotionally, but there's some fluctuation, a pattern perhaps of fluctuation. Maybe it's depression, from joy to depression. Maybe it's a pattern. But there's something I would say also that's been more kind of a focus reality for you recently, fluctuating. And by the way, this is not outside of any kind of a normal human response to our situation now, okay? Because there intrinsically much is shifting, altering, evolving, and we just came off of a few days when the sun became exact conjunct with Uranus. So the times that we're living in, the chapter that we're living in, is there's simply a level of uncertainty with this particular process of chaos navigation that we're doing. And when I say chaos, I'm talking about a natural chaotic process in living systems that's activated now in consciousness, but it's activated through our different levels of systems, human systems, right? So there is uncertainty. So what I want to point out is, if you selected this back and forth could have been accentuated in the last few months or year, okay? But this is talking about a pattern as well, and the pattern might be extreme thoughts back and forth, extreme emotionality back and forth. But the stopping place was interesting because we get the Cheshire cat that emerged. Actually, it was the smile first and then the cat emerged. But you can see that the stopping point for the back and forth ends with the right eye of the Cheshire cat, referring to the left brain. We have the big smile of the Cheshire cat. And I actually pulled up Wikipedia because I wanted to pull up the Cheshire cat to talk about it a little bit. But there's something with Cheshire that is the landing place for you, at least this week. Now, it might be putting on the big smile, but there's something else with the Cheshire cat. So let's go ahead and pull this up. So obviously, the Cheshire cat we know from Alice in Wonderland, okay? We know him, he's identified with the mischievous grin. But I want to pull this, I want to take you down here a little bit, okay? Right here. So the Cheshire Cat is now largely identified with the character of the same name in Lewis Carroll's novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Alice first encounters the Cheshire Cat at the Duchess's house in her kitchen, and later on the branches of a tree, where it appears and disappears at will, and engages Alice in amusing but sometimes perplexing conversation. The cat sometimes raises philosophical points that annoy or baffle Alice, but appear to cheer her when it appears suddenly at the Queen of Hearts croquet field. Oh, that but appears to cheer her when the cat, appears suddenly at the Queen of Hearts croquet field. And when sentenced to death, baffles everyone by having made its head appear without its body, sparking debate between the executioner and the king and queen of hearts about whether a disembodied head can indeed be beheaded. At one point, the cat disappears gradually until nothing is left but its grin, prompting Alice to remark that she has often seen a cat without a grin, but never a grin without a cat. So let's shrink this down for a minute. There's something here about complex communications, uh, tricky communications, mischievous communications. There's also something here about the disappearing act. So this back and forth that might be coming to some sort of a clarity for you this week might be about you show up, you retract. It might be that there's joy, there's the smile, and then there's the grief, the sadness. And it might be, again, this hefty fluctuation here. But it seems, and there's something too here about disappearing and showing up. So, what is it that disappears? Is it the big smile that disappears? Is it the communication that disappears? Do you communicate and then retreat into silence? What is the pattern? But there's some sort of a clarity about the pattern. Now, what I felt when I was drawing this with the Cheshire Cat is that there's some sort of awareness that you receive about your own patterning, but that there's almost a higher level of conscious awareness that you achieve with regards to the immateriality of life. You know, the fact that we make things matter that don't. We make meaning out of things because of the stories that we carry intrinsically as part of our blueprint. So there's something here about clarity, about an almost a level of amusement that you might be gleaning this week, at the fact that you made so much mean so much. You made so much in your past mean so much. And the thing is, it can dissolve. It dissolves with the higher mind's perspective, with a clear, holistic perspective, with the healthy, distanced witnessing of your own narrative, of your own story. So there is a level of amusement here. It doesn't seem to be without its growth edges, though, because I think that there might be some level of extremity that might be coming through this week for you, where there's almost an aggressive level of, like, I knew it, this kind of thing. Whatever that means for you this week, just be mindful of it. So it's like you become aware and you understand that, you know, you're making things into form which don't need to actually be there. It's prompted by your inner psyche, your inner consciousness, the narratives that you hold within that space, within yourself. But it's coming a bit potentially this week. There could be a bit of arrogance coming through as well. So there might be something for you. You're processing clarity, but you're also processing potentially some arrogance. You know, needing to trick the partner or trick your friends or the other person or the family members. You know, it's like, I knew it. See, I told you so. Something to that effect. That's what came through. There's a tree here, okay? The cat is really not in the tree. He is seemingly floating above the branch, but the tree came seemingly separately with a very crooked branch. And on this crook of the branch is a basket with 3 eggs. So whatever clarity about patterning and making things matter that don't need to matter, as long as you come from the higher awareness of what life really is about, what those patterns, what those qualities and what those experiences that you've had in your life that it prompted certain pattern reactions, that the clarity that you're gaining from things that might have been challenging birthed some new growth. So this is like Easter eggs, and we just did have Orthodox Easter, right? So Orthodox Easter is happening now, essentially, and we have this basket with the 3 eggs. So there's something about the tree with the crook, the big old, this is an old tree, a big thick branch with a big sinking part of the branch as it extends forward. And that's where the basket is. So new birth, new growth, a new season, a new spring. The eggs represent fertility. So there could be projects, there could be aspects of you, your character, your new work. Maybe there's new work that's starting to burgeon, but there's seeds here or eggs, fertility. There's potential for new beginnings. And it seems to be with regards to 3 levels or 3 tiers of your life. For you, it might be mind, body, spirit. There might be all kinds of new potentials here with the clarity about I've been here and there. I go here and here with my mind. The pattern of my thinking, the pattern of my mind. I go here and here with my emotions. The pattern of how the emotions operate, which come into being from your blueprint. But you're here to evolve that blueprint. So you're here to evolve it. You are a living system, remember. So you're here to evolve imbalance. You're here to evolve toxic promptings or drivers. You're here to balance into the evolution of yourself. So clarity is coming. Some sort of awareness is coming. The awareness seems to be right over the eggs, the potential for the new mind, body, spirit, the potential for the new work, family, health, whatever these 3 eggs are for you. But this is a time for the tree, the old tree is holding the basket. So there's a weight apparently that would have maybe dragged down the branch or something in the weather condition, something heavy or something weighty, maybe for the human consciousness would have, bent the elbow of this particular tree branch. So there's a heavy load that you've carried, but that heavy load is now gifting you with the potential for new beginnings. That's what I want to say. Okay, beauties, number 2. Okay. The first thing that came up was a tea light. Okay. So this is a candle. It's a tea light in the metal tin. But you can see that this particular tea light is huge. It's massive. So it takes up this table. Ultimately, there's a table with a tablecloth with huge flowers on the sides and small flowers on the top. I haven't analyzed this yet, so we're going to do it together. But this huge tea light, there's something very specific about a tea light, but it's a giant one. So what does that mean? I have no idea. But it is giving, tea lights only last a few hours when you light them. So there's something here about a brief light. And it's a big flame. You can see this massive flame and it's going up and through. It's activating or touching, let's say, the rainbow. So this is a rainbow in the back that has light emanating off of the top lavender or purple aspect of the rainbow. So massive tea light. A tea light in itself only lasts a little while. So what does that mean? Let me just think about that for a minute. It's like, you know what it is? It's like you're needing to focus on something this week. That's what this is about for me. The reason why I say that is because tea lights are small. And this is huge, which means that the let's say the guidance for you this week or the natural prompting for you this week is to focus on something that is seemingly minor this week. You might have a conversation with somebody this week that seems innocuous, but there's something about it that's going to light a flame within you. And it's going to be something that you want to pay attention to. This particular conversation that you might have, something that you might hear, something that you might read. There's something that you become aware of, and it's seemingly small, but it's huge for you. And you need to focus on it this week because it has struck a match, it has struck a light. There is a flame within you that's getting lit by the conversation. And it's activating all of your chakras. This is kind of like a Kundalini activation here. And this Kundalini activation can emanate out the clarity that, or the alignment here, the alignment of all the chakra system through the spinal system here. So there's some sort of a light, something innocuous you're here to focus on. That's what this is about. This table, this is meant to be like a 36-inch diameter side table with a tablecloth on it, right? So this is a tea light made massive for you. So pay attention. Keep your eyes and ears open this week. That's what I want to say. The top of the cloth is flowered, but with small flowers. The side of the cloth, specifically this flower, this was a very specific thing in the drawing. You're going to see that the side of the cloth, as it drapes down the side, there it has the large flower here. There are 5 petals to it, 5 petals to the leaf, and the leaf wraps the top of the table, and there's a dotted line to the candle. So what is that about? Well, I don't know. I mean, something is, what is that? Let me just think about it. I'm wondering if it's something in the family, somebody in the family. I say that because there's 4 blossoms here at the root. This is at the base of the table. 4, or the IC in the astrological chart. This is your family, it's your home, it's your property. And this is your inner meaning making system. It's what matters to you. It's what you desire, but it's your inner self, your inner foundations. But this, for me, I have to tell you, is really resonating with family. I think that there's somebody says something maybe in your family unit, or something happens in your family, seemingly innocuous, that is important, and you are to connect the dots on what it means. It might mean that something comes to light about the past. It might mean that somebody from your family, maybe a mother, it could be a female figure, something is sparking a light in you. Something from the sidelines is wrapping over the top and pointing you to something you are to focus on. So it's somebody in the sidelines. Gosh, you guys, I mean, I wonder if this is like cousins, like exterior family. Maybe these are siblings that you don't see so often. Or maybe these are cousins that you hardly talk to. Or aunts and uncles, whatever it might be. Is there somebody in your extended side family that they're blossoming? In fact, it could be somebody in your family, somebody from a distant relative, let's call it, or somebody you don't see very often in your family that has blossomed in a certain way. And their blossoming comes to your attention and it alights you from within. And it sparks you from within, and it gives you insight about a reminder, perhaps, about something that you loved as a child, 4th house, childhood, upbringing. So something that perhaps a family member is doing in their life is showing you, it's giving you a model. It's reminding you. So this is about focusing, paying attention. This is about stillness this week. Meditate. Get clear. The small flowers are interesting because it's almost like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually. There's these 5 small flowers, and there is these, 5 petals here, 5 petals here, 6 here, 4 here. But we have these 5 flowers, we have these 5 petals linking to the candle. So there's something about 5. This is about change. There's something about change. Something's showing you something that you're needing to change, and it's inspiring your inner bliss. There's something about, like, you get reminded. It's like, God, I love that. I used to love doing that. This week, pay attention. Keep your eyes and ears open. Honor, be present moment minded when you're engaging with people. Listen, pay attention, because something is highlighting your inner skills, your inner gifts, your inner bliss, joy. Really good, everybody. Really good. Okay. But the little flowers, I was just going to make a quick note and then we'll go to number 3. The little flowers on the top, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Let me just think about that for a minute. There seems to be something else connected to the small top and the big side flowers. It's almost, you know what I think it is? I think that typically maybe you wouldn't be paying so much attention to family members or what they're speaking or talking about or what they're doing. Maybe you're not typically paying too much attention to what your siblings are doing or what, whatever. But there's big stuff on the sidelines that you're going to have to pay attention to because it's calling you to pay attention. The big candle, the big flower, the blossom connecting it, the petal connecting. So pay attention, okay? Now let's go to number 3. Now number 3 is interesting because the first thing that came was a braid. This is braided hair. So a braid was the first thing to arise. The second thing to come was the microwave on this counter. So this is a microwave. The third thing was the corn. Now, okay, so the first thing with the braid. Now, for me, if we're talking about hair, we're talking about, especially with indigenous cultures, but if we're talking about hair is thought of as the antenna. This is energy here. This is power here. And of course, those of you that are indigenous who have more intimate, connected understandings about what hair means, forgive me, and obviously take your own knowledge and utilize that. But what I know about it is that hair is seen as an antenna. It's seen as strength and power. It is an extension of the self, but it's this connection to source. And there's something with the braid that implies an enfolding process. So something is needing to be, perhaps this week, integrated. Something needs to be bound. The looseness of something, the bound hair with the braiding can be representative of the need to tie something together. Now, this can also simply be a focusing mechanism for the message this week. In other words, the braid along with the corn can represent potentially Native American culture, for example. It can represent, the Americas, let's call it. Indigenous cultures of the Americas, North, South. Do you understand? So there's something here about indigenous wisdom, about bringing something together that needs to be brought together that might have in your life might be more dissipated. And so there's this kind of binding, and there's this reference to corn or maize. And here we have the representation of sustenance here. I think I pulled up corn. Let's see if I did. No, I pulled up microwave though. We'll talk about microwave in a second. But with regards to corn is highly valued in the Americas, North and South, because it represents sustenance. So this is food, this is nourishment, this is spiritual gifts and blessings. Corn is also used in rituals. So there's something with the braid and the corn that's definitively speaking to the fact that either this week you have rituals on your mind, connecting to nature, connecting to deeper aspects of the organizing principles of natural systems, getting back to the earth, binding to gardening. Some of you might be planting your seeds. You might have already been planting your seeds, in fact. So there might be something here with gardening, getting back to nature, getting back to essential truths, essential spiritual truths. Something about that. Now, if you have a particular relationship with Native American cultures, then this could be guiding you to follow those calls. Like you might get some insight to do some research on a particular tribe or a particular ritual. And so I would say go for that. If that's the call, go for it. So you might have an impetus to really connect more deeply to nature, gardening, sustenance, and ritual. There might be a need to connect to embraid. I don't know if that's a word, but to enfold yourself with spirit. Okay, so if you feel disconnected or deserted in a way, isolated or even rejected in multiple ways by people, by spirit, or whatever, then this is a time to get more tightly bound by your nature, to reconnect really with your nature. But the microwave is here, and the microwave came before the corn. So it was braid, microwave, corn. The microwave cooks food fast, right? That's what it does. So it speeds the process. Now, the microwave could be talking about the fact that you're going too fast and you're missing connecting in with a slower process. So you might be going too fast. In this modern world where people want the quick fix, the quick pill, the quick answer, the answer for you this week might be to go slow, to connect with self, with source, with nature. And here you are faced with modern day human reality. So there's something about paying attention to the process and going slower. So this could be the guidance for you. Now, the microwave could also be talking about you need to expedite a process. So you're going to have to navigate with mindfulness and clarity for yourself through stillness, through your own meditation process about what's calling here. Is there something about connecting that you need to really, it's a hurry that you pay attention to this now. It's urgent that you attend, right? Potentially. Because it might be that you need that for your nurturance. Corn came in last. So it might be that to connect with spirit, to connect with your power, to connect in with your own internal workings, your process, your psyche, mind, your emotions, your spirituality that's shifting and changing now. Are you procrastinating? Are you spending your days daydreaming as opposed to doing the work? And maybe the work is you need to meditate every day. You need to be disciplined about meditating every day. And maybe it's not even once a day. Maybe it's twice a day. Maybe it's 3 times a day. But there might be an expediting process that is calling you to connect. It's not about hurrying the connection as much as it's urgent to do so. And to do so is actually going to provide you the sustenance you need, spiritual and otherwise. If we look at what microwave is talking about, it's a form of electromagnetic radiation with wavelengths ranging from about 1 meter to 1 millimeter, corresponding to frequencies between 300 megahertz and 300 gigahertz. Down here, microwave is not meant to suggest a wavelength in the micrometer range. Rather, it indicates that microwaves are small, having shorter wavelengths compared to the radio waves used to microwave technology. The boundaries between far infrared terahertz radiation microwaves and ultra high frequency radio waves are fairly arbitrary and are used variously between different fields of study. Microwaves travel by line of sight. I'm going to move this over, my highlighter. So microwaves travel by line of sight. Unlike lower frequency radio waves, they do not diffract around hills, follow the Earth's surface as ground waves, or reflect from the ionosphere. So terrestrial microwave communication links are limited by the visual horizon to about 40 miles. At the high end of the band, they are absorbed by gases in the atmosphere, limiting practical communication distances to around a kilometer. Microwaves are widely used in modern technology. For example, in point-to-point communication links. Okay. Microwaves are widely used in modern technology. For example, in point-to-point communication links. So yeah, I mean, what I would say with that is there's something here about wavelengths. Now, as I said, at the beginning of the reading here, um, you know, and I didn't say it in this particular video in this way, but what I will share with you is that, source is an information field, consciousness is an information field, and life is complexifying. And the more complex it becomes, the more people, the more engagement, the more technological flow through pulsing through the field, everything is becoming more complex. And it means that there's more information, and it means that time seems to be moving faster. So there is this expedited reality that we're living in. We just are. So there is this sense of urgency that I think it's like time is tightening up. It is getting faster. It is a time to connect. It's a time to do your spiritual and empowering work to grow self. It is your food, and it is the food that you're here to give other. Not only is this to sustain you, to attend to the urgency at hand, but it is the sustenance that you're here to provide people, others, through your work, through your service. So I hope that this, and the other thing that I want to point out with this is that it was talking about point to point, point to point. What did it say exactly? Microwaves travel by line of sight. Oh, here it is. Microwaves are widely used in modern technology, for example, in point-to-point communication links. For some reason, I'm wanting to stop there. Because for you, it might be that, you and your higher, you as your embodied human self, and your access to your wisdom, your higher wisdom, is open now. It's the point to point is activated. Let's call it. It's ripe. It's ripe. So there's something about this point to point. It's like utilize this time this week. This is the week of May 3rd, 2021. Utilize this week to connect in with yourself, to really connect in with deeper levels of truth, deeper levels, the narratives that not only live within your own consciousness, but etheric truths, these deeper truths about life, about living systems, about, how life is operating and what it's all about. Yeah, really good. Okay, everybody, I'm going to leave it there. Stay tuned for the weekly astrology. That will probably be coming out tomorrow, which is Monday, May 3rd. All right. So I'm sending you much love, everybody, for your week ahead, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.